And joining me live now for more on this is Liberal MP and former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Andrew Wallace. Andrew, thanks for your time this afternoon. Firstly, I'll just get your thoughts on that Sky News exclusive there by our reporter Cam Redden. It was revealed Sue Lyons will attend this memorial, controversial given her previous comments on Israel. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm pretty much lost for words, I have to say, Holly. I'm flabbergasted that the Prime Minister is so tone deaf when it comes to the issue of the protection of Israel, the Jewish community in Australia, that he sends one of its greatest critics to this important event in Poland to recognise the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz. He sends one of Israel's greatest critics from the parliament, the now President of the Senate. It's just, this guy, the Prime Minister of Australia, is absolutely tone deaf. He does not get it.
So what happens from here? Do you think Sue Lyons should not go? What are you calling for?
The Prime Minister needs to revisit this decision. This is an appalling decision on his part and that of the Labor Party to send Sue Lyons. You can't make those sort of statements on the floor of the Senate and then make such an important trip as this, where world leaders will be, and the Prime Minister is sending someone who has been constantly so critical of Israel. I cannot understand why he would have done it.
And I mean, it comes as we've had another anti-Semitic attack, just abhorrent, this time on a childcare centre. I mean, enough is enough. I have these conversations and interviews every single day, and politicians on both sides of the aisle are condemning, rightly so, what is happening here, but condemnation clearly isn't working. The PM now convening National Cabinet, but this comes after calls, of course, from the Coalition last November for this to happen. Why should it take for a childcare centre to be attacked here for the PM now to convene National Cabinet this afternoon?
Well, Holly, it wasn't last November. It was the November before that. Just 5 weeks after October 7, Peter Dutton wrote to the Prime Minister and suggested very strongly that he convene National Cabinet to ensure the protection of Jewish Australians. The Prime Minister ignored those calls and constant calls since then, 14 months ago. Can you imagine what this country would look like today, the difference it would have made if the Prime Minister had have acted when Peter Dutton asked him to 14 months ago, to take responsibility, to take charge and show some national leadership? Now, look, there's only one person that's showing national leadership on this issue, and that is Peter Dutton. Those people that have committed these offences, the most recent of which was the childcare centre overnight in Maroubra, would be facing a mandatory minimum sentence of 6 years imprisonment if the Coalition was in government. Now, we've got to set a deterrent here. The Prime Minister talks the big talk. He's been dragged kicking and screaming to holding a National Cabinet today. But talk is cheap, and Australians are absolutely sick of it. They do not believe that this is a country that we should be demonstrating this sort of conduct. And the place has gone to the dogs since Prime Minister Albanese has been in power. We need to set some very strong deterrents here for this sort of behaviour. It's all very well and good for the Prime Minister to make these mealy-mouthed comments after the event. He needs to show some guts and some leadership. That's what Australians are calling for.
Absolutely. Australians are calling for action here, and the National Cabinet, hopefully we see some good outcomes and strong outcomes as a nation from this, because the rise of anti-Semitism is so disturbing, and the reports coming out every day, particularly in Sydney, incredibly disturbing. We do have to wrap things up shortly, but I can't let you go today without getting your thoughts on Donald Trump. Of course, he's back in office. Donald Trump 2.0 coming in with true Trump style, I have to say. Already getting straight to work. How do you think he's going to impact the relationship, I guess, between the US and Australia?
Well, look, we often say that it doesn't matter who is in the White House or in the lodge when it comes to such an important relationship. And that's true to some extent. But one has to question how Donald Trump is going to interact with Anthony Albanese. This is a Labor leadership team which has been very, very critical of President Trump in his previous administration and then in the run-up to the election. So I think it's going to be a pretty testy relationship. I would love to be a fly on the wall in those discussions. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, Donald Trump is a straight shooter and he's not going to put up with any two-faced nonsense from this Prime Minister who says one thing and does something entirely opposite. I think Donald Trump will be calling that sort of conduct out pretty quickly.
One thing's for sure, he does say what he thinks, doesn't he? Andrew, thank you so much for your time today. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Holly.
Authorised by Andrew Wallace, LNP, Boccarina, Queensland.